So you'll love this. I got a call from a client this past Friday, 3 p.m., saying I need a grant written by Monday.
3 p.m. or 3 a.m.?
3 p.m.
Okay, just making sure.
On a Friday, saying they need a grant done by Monday.
So just to clarify, it might as well have been 3 a.m.
It might as well have been.
Okay, just
because that wasn't happening either.
And for those of you who are watching this live, semantics are the same thing.
That's right. 40 pages for the application.
Uh-huh. At 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Oh, cool.
That's like, I'm like, sir, I charge for my sanity, and you're hurting that right now. It's not going to get done. So we didn't do it.
I mean, I wish you would have come to me because I don't charge for my sanity.
You should.
Well, I'm not sane.
That I do know.
Yeah, I mean.
So I said, hell no. Absolutely not. We're not doing it.
Fair enough.
Can't do it.
I mean, it probably would have been not the greatest piece of writing that's ever been produced in the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. People, they think grant funding comes in and can get it done in 5 seconds. They see a timeline. Oh, we can get it done before the timeline. It'll be taken care of.
Could you just say that like slower?
What I just said?
Yeah, just like repeat it for the
sure,
audience.
Yeah, no problem.
Like really slow.
Just because there's a timeline doesn't mean we can get it in before then. Preparedness.
So what you're telling me is that just because the government says that today, on January 29th at 5 p.m., something is due, we can't start it at 8 a.m. the same day?
I think you know the answer, but the answer is no, we can't not do that.
Oh, I guess I didn't know the answer.
We get a lot of that too. People are like, hey, what's the, they check the timeline, and we asked what the due date was. They're like, 6 weeks ago.
You know what I tell them when they come to me and they say things like that?
What's that?
I show them this sign to the audience and say, go fund yourself.
Go fund yourself. That's right. So let's get into it. Let's talk about deadlines, right? Or timelines. It's the most important thing. We see it all the time in our world. Hey, here's a timeline. Mm-hmm. Get it done before then.
Oh, thanks.
Does that work?
I appreciate the advice. Thanks for letting me know that I have to get it in before the deadline.
So let's dive in here as you are the king of federal grants, as I have coined him to be. The king of federal grants. Talk to me about federal grant timelines.
It's funny that you would say that because you did not bring my crown today.
I didn't. I forgot it. I apologize. Left it at home. On purpose.
Of course. Yeah, well.
I'm not sitting next to you when you're wearing a crown.
Federal grants and timelines.
Yeah.
The government makes things easy as pie, right?
Which is surprising because it never happens.
Right, no matter what, yeah.
Right.
No. On a serious note, federal grants are cyclic and revolving in nature. They come around every year, congressionally funded, for the most part, major programs, but finite deadlines and performance periods.
Like clockwork. Beautiful.
You miss it by a second, and you wait a whole entire fiscal year for the next go-round.
Yeah, annual cycles, which helps us, right? We know that if you miss NSGP this year, it's okay. Next year, we got it. It's not an extension. Next year, we'll file for it.
And for those who don't know, NSGP is the Nonprofit Security Grant Program. It's one of the largest, longest consecutively running programs from the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to provide security and safety funding for nonprofits.
That's right. FEMA, Department of Justice funding, all of that is involved in those programs. But yes, on a fixed cycle, which really helps us out. There is a timeline, we understand it, we get it done. But you need to be prepared for it.
That's actually funny because they are in the classification of preparedness grants.
Look at you. Play on words.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
So what I'm telling you is that nonprofits need to be prepared for preparedness grants.
That's right.
What a foreign concept.
I'm telling you. So as we get into this, as my expertise is organization, as we talk about, even if you are coming up on a deadline, the idea behind being organized is the most important thing, right? We see in this world a lot where people are just, hey, here's a timeline. I'm going to rush to do a grant. It's going to fit my organization and it's going to work, and we send it. We have to work up against timelines and figure out what works in that realm.
We talked in a previous episode about execution, right?
Right.
What's the most important thing to a funder? Is it what happens with the funding, or is it the execution of what happens with the funding? And for a lot of people, especially the government, it's the proper execution
Yeah.
of those funds, right? And so being prepared for preparedness grants, a fiscal year ahead of time is the most organized and prepared
Right.
timeline for appropriate submission.
Yeah. We see this a lot with, events and things like that. If you're in crisis mode and you're working at things last minute, unless you're you who's always right and do things perfectly, they're not usually going to turn out well.
I mean,
right?
shout out to immense amounts of ADHD.
Medicine.
Not even the medicine, just the
ADHD in
which
itself. That's right.
you know.
You're covered. But yeah, crisis mode. It doesn't help anyone. It's not great. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, you guys know in the audience Matt and I's background.
Yeah.
Security, law enforcement, crisis intervention, de-escalation training, all that good jazz. We know that a couple things happen when you get into that crisis mode, right?
That's right.
Tunnel vision, auditory exclusion.
Heart rate
right?
goes up.
Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure's going up. You're pumping adrenaline, dopamine,
Yeah.
norepinephrine through your system, right? Nothing cognitively, rationally, logically gets done. You're acting out of primal instinct to rush through. And is that ever the equation of success in the grant world?
Absolutely not.
No fucking way.
We see it all the time. It's just they're high rejection rates, right? We see it. It's like the ones that get submitted last. It's like you think you put it all into it. You're like, I got everything prepared because I did it in a day, and you send it and it's rejected. Those rejection rates are skyrocketing because people cannot organize, get their things together, and make sure they're sending the best product they can.
And here's another thing that happens, right? Is yeah, I'm looking at you who's listening to me talk right now. I know for a fact that when you fill out your grant at the last second, ChatGPT is filling out that grant application for you. Okay, you can't lie to me. I know all the tricks. Matt said I'm the king. I know it.
That's right.
The problem with that is that ChatGPT is cool, great.
Yeah.
AI is expanding, but AI can't connect and be vulnerable to a human reviewer. There's no depth to argument. There's no explanation. There's no reason why this matters. Okay, can AI spit out facts?
Sure.
Sure, is a church, synagogue, or any religious institution that sits by a major highway at a higher risk than the same institution that's off the beaten path by 10 miles?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe, sure, fine. Okay, but why does it matter?
Yeah. I was looking
Right?
at the end of the day, AI, ChatGPT, and we see it all the time in this world. At the end of the day, it is a computer talking to a human as a funder, period. It doesn't have the emotion, it doesn't have the ideas of your organization that you think it does. Until 20 years and we're all computers, that's what's going to happen.
Here's what I'll say. The truth is if I can read it and know nothing about your organization,
Yeah.
and it sounds like a computer, you know what your chances are of getting that grant funded?
Zero.
Zero. Buzzer goes off. And let me tell you something else, right? Funders talk,
Yeah.
right? And even in the government grant world, right? If a committee is going through your application and it's blatantly written by AI,
Yeah.
that hurts you in the future. That hurts you for every other program that runs through that agency. I mean, it can have some detrimental effects.
Yeah, I would say, we see it when I'm doing interviewing, let's say for our writers as well, right? And I look through 100 applications for, a grant writer position. But if I'm reading this and it sounds like it's AI and seems like it's coming from a computer, we've been in this industry for long enough where I can tell the difference between a decent human writing something and giving some emotion and learning about them compared to a computer. personally am more likely to pass over that. I'm going to pass over the one that looks like a computer to me or sounds like a computer for somebody who means something and has feeling.
You're telling me that you would tell an entity that used ChatGPT for their application that they should go fund themselves?
I would say go fund yourself.
Wow, that is
So
awesome.
let's talk about this. So, we talk about these deadlines, and I feel like what happens in organizations is one deadline gets missed and everybody thinks it's the end of the world, right?
Okay.
Is it?
I
Is
mean-
it really the end of the world?
One, they come back around,
Yeah,
which is more time to prepare for the preparedness grant.
right.
But there are also other programs that can facilitate either a funding gap or fulfill a funding gap rather, and can also maybe add to that preparedness for the preparedness grant.
Yeah.
Right. Those are all opportunities that exist. You just got to know where to find them.
Right.
Right. And on that note, you said something which was really important. You mentioned emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Not to digress, but what we do at KG is just something a little bit different, right? We don't just, poof, grant writers assigned to your portfolio. The way our grant writers function is based on their areas of expertise, not the grantee or grantor, right? So you mentioned that I'm the king of, federal and government programming, right?
That is it.
Highly technical, data-driven, analytical, expansive proposals, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have a writer who is an expert in the humanities and the liberal arts and food scarcity, food insecurity, trauma-informed care, all that stuff, right? And then we have another writer whose sole area of expertise is workforce development.
That's right.
Right. And the list goes on and on and on. And so we're pairing writers who know exactly their own vertical, right, and are passionate about it. And what does passion dictate or translate to in a grant application? It's one word. Emotion.
Emotion. That's
Emotion. Right. And what can AI not do?
Yeah.
There's no emotion. It's a computer. But anyway, back to you.
Back to me. Yeah, it's
Robin.
the same thing. It's the same thing as we talk about, we've mentioned in previous that I played baseball, right? And as much as I am an athlete, if I played baseball my whole life and you try to put me on a tennis court, I'm not going to perform that great. So
For the record, I've seen that. And you swing a tennis racket like you swing a baseball bat.
Listen,
Neither are
not
good,
bad.
just saying.
Not bad. But I'm not going to put them in a position to fail, right? We say that all the time. We never want to put people in a position to fail. So if our writers have a specific entity that works for them, put them in an avenue that's going to produce the best work. I mean, that's really what it is. And that's what the organizations need to do. You need to find that and work that avenue. But, we do see, like I said, this crisis time. And we have people who miss a timeline and say, we're in a crisis. But are they really? What would stem as a crisis in an organization? We look at people with 3 months left of operating budget. That's kind of your realm for crisis where you're going to fail. Having a sustainable organization and missing a timeline is not a crisis. There are hundreds and thousands of grants that we can write that would offset the one that missed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to one thing, which is preparation.
Right.
If you are set up strategically, you're producing an adequate budget every year, you would know if you were going to be in a position of crisis by the end of the year, right? You'll know when funding would run out. You'll know exactly when you need something in the form of discretionary general operating funds to come in. And I feel like a lot of organizations just don't have the partner who can say, hey, this date's going to come and go. This is your make or break it date.
Yeah. Desperation we see is very reactive. That's where those not so great applications come in that last minute and they don't put forth their best work. Those are items we see. It's desperate. They're looking for anything they can. They're pulling straws. But urgency when you're coming up on a timeline, that's strategic. There's finding ways that like you had mentioned, a year out or even 6 months out from a timeline. How can you create the best product for yourself and your organization to be able to push out?
I think you mentioned an interesting thing. There is like this idea about grants, and we've floated it in previous episodes. But you actually said something really funny to me right before we started filming this episode. And I would like you to sing it for the audience, which is, can you explain to the audience what grants are not?
Grants are not J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
Exactly.
Grants are not cash now.
Grants aren't cash now.
Yeah.
For one, government programming is most of the time going to be reimbursement anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not cash in your pocket. But the time it takes from production to award to disbursement could be months.
Months. It could be a year.
So preparation in a crisis state, right, means that crisis solving mentality starts 12 months ahead of time.
Right.
Right? That's when your problem needs to be worked on and a plan produced. Now, is it true that urgency sometimes produces a better application or puts everybody in a position to succeed? Sure, but there's a big difference in urgency and crisis.
Right. And remember what funders are looking for, right? They don't want to throw money at a sinking ship. They want you to present a rocket to them that they want to fuel. You know, let me put fuel in your rocket. Here's my product. Here's everything that's set on it. This is what I want. Not, hey, we're coming at you last minute here. Need some funding. I need it in a week. Give it to me. You know, they're gonna pass. They don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine this. Imagine a situation. I'm going to tell the audience. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, you can do that.
I'm going to tell the audience. I want you to close your eyes. Not if you're driving and listening. Don't do that.
Please don't do
But
that.
if you're at home, close your eyes. Picture in your head the most amazing, perfect school building. It is immaculate. It is filled with technology, amazing classrooms, STEM labs, athletic facilities, all of that stuff. And then imagine that building with no teachers, no administration, no students, nothing, because you spent all of your money
on the
building and don't have any money for the operational component.
Yeah.
And we run into that a lot where funders say, hey, knock, 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 who's there? No, cool idea, except how is this going to function afterwards?
Yeah.
Because you have no money.
Right. Yeah, and that's the biggest key. You know, like I said, as you were the king of the federal side, I would consider myself.
Just say it one more time.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I would consider myself the king of organization. That's like my forte. I love doing that. And you know, whether it's our own business or it's an organization, you know, you have to get organized. You have to find ways that are going to benefit your organization moving forward. So, you know, stemming from making bullet points, having plans, having weekly meetings, having, you know, an idea of 6 months out. It's tough for me to look at something, you know, internally 3 months out compared to 6 months out.
I have an even better idea.
What's that?
Let us do it.
Let us do it.
Let us do it for you.
Agreed.
That's boring.
Agreed.
It's boring work.
Yeah, we
right?
love it.
We love it.
We
I mean, Matt has sometimes it's really scary, but you know, he draws on his walls with Sharpie and like plots out his ideas. Really,
Listen, whatever helps me.
We should probably talk about that.
We're gonna have to paint soon, but yeah.
Oh yeah, we should probably talk about that another day. Yikes.
But yes.
Anyway,
you know.
point being, we can do that for you, but not because we're even good at it.
Right.
I mean, we are good at it, not to toot our own horn, but sometimes you need that like outside third party, 30,000 foot perspective to be like, hey, hold on a second, pause. Something here is not adding up correctly.
Right.
And that's where we can say, hey, this crisis period can be avoided.
Yeah. And I think the best time to do that is, you know, in the grant world, we call it the off season. You know, people think that funding and these applications only happening during when the application is open. And it's just not it's not how it works. You know, there are times there are free flowing grants that we go after all the time, but there is downtime in this.
Sure.
Plan. And that's the time to get ready. You know, we see it in the NFL, you know, the season's, you know, 17 games long, but in that off season, well, not us. I mean, for the Ravens, yeah, because we suck. But other than that, you know,
knock, who's there? Not the Ravens.
Not the Ravens. You know, there is time that people can organize and get themselves together, and I think navigating those times is very important. You know, in that off season.
I wonder if we could find a grant for the Ravens to be more successful.
I'd love it.
Considering the government's definition on Google of a grant that we mentioned in last week's episode, it did mention economic or socioeconomic development, right?
Yeah,
I think the Ravens being better could be potentially considered economic development, right?
Please still work with us, Ravens. We still want your help for things, but yeah, I agree.
But if you need a grant, you know how to find us.
You know where to find us, yeah. But yeah, the off season, it's a great time to get things organized and get things moving. Instead of, again, that crisis mode where you're 2 weeks away or you're a week away from an application and you're scrambling. You gotta be prepared. You gotta get things together.
It's really what sets you apart. Remember we talked about, grant number 500 and a pool of 1,000, right?
Yeah.
You're right in the middle. What sets you apart? How do we notice? It's very easy to pick out who put together their applications in a period of crisis versus who put their applications together in a well-rounded, prepared, timely fashion. Right.
Yeah, it's when those grants are not open, researching funders, building relationships, taking that time to really understand what you're going after and having the full package to be able to present to somebody, with a bow on it, as they say.
What about a crown?
A crown. You in this crown. I'm glad I didn't bring it for you. I'm telling you that.
I think we might be able to get one.
Metaphor
DoorDash.
crown. A metaphor. DoorDash. Yeah, that'd be great. DoorDashing your crown. Yeah. Again, that off season is your main time. You got to be able to operate in that realm.
When I think about the off season, right? What happens every off season? And let's just pick on the Ravens just for a little bit more. The thing about the off season is you spend money, right?
Yeah.
Well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. At least you're supposed to.
Correct.
Anyway, in the off season,
Yeah.
that's the time for us to say, hey, this is how we're going to spend it.
Right.
Right? Because we've been talking a lot about let's prepare, let's submit, let's get the award. But the whole point is let's spend it, right? Let's spend the money.
Right.
We need to prepare to spend it. We need to have a plan of expenditure after the fact, like after it's awarded. We can't just throw caution to the wind and then afterwards be like, well, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. Pre-proposal prep, document research, those are all things that go into that prep. Those are the most important, as we can't say it enough. Presenting something to a funder that is put together with a bow on it compared to not it's the end game. It's whether they're going to fund you or not.
I mean, how many times have we had somebody come to us and say, we are going to go for this grant. We know we know what we're going to do with it. And we already have a contractor to do it.
Yeah, often.
You've seen me say, you already have a contractor to do it? That's funny because the federal government says that you need to get 3 bids for anything over $10,000.
And guess what? Crisis mode to scramble to get bids.
And now it's time to scramble.
Yep.
Right? We do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I live and breathe that.
Yeah. When you surround yourself with people who, again, the buy-in, as I talk about all the time, you surround yourself with people who, and I have to push you for this because you're not the most organized human being, but who are organized, who want the best for their organization and really buy into the mission. It gives off people want to embody that. People want to be around it and set themselves up. And again, once you start to see success from it, if you go into crisis mode and you're submitting it last minute compared to when you've presented something again with a bow on it, and you start to see the success of the difference, where people feed off that. People want that. They want to go after that.
There's nothing more exciting than getting a substantial grant award, right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing more disheartening
than being denied.
Disenfranchisement, whatever you want to call it, than having them come and say, hey, you weren't in compliance. Your award's been rescinded.
Yeah. And all it took was maybe another all-hands meeting or something that happened the past week that could have gotten you over the hump and gotten you the information you needed. Those are the tough ones. It's after the fact when you see it. Hey, we could have been more organized. We could have had this taken care of, but we jumped and we sped and we went way too fast. And we came back with a denial, and it sucks.
And look, we've been there.
Yes,
we learn from errors, mistakes, experiences. That's the point.
That's the point,
right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I can implore upon everybody is sometimes the answer really is that intrinsic fire inside of you needs to lead the way. And when it isn't, you need an external partner or entity to say, hey, it's time to relight that fire.
That's it.
And you know what that fire is telling you?
What's that?
That fire is telling you that I'm Jared Krieger.
And I'm Matt Goodman.
And you should go fund yourself.